Hello and welcome back to this week's video from Real Therapy Fishing. Today we're going to be learning how to do a conger rig. You need several things to do a conger rig. It's going to be quite a heavy setup, the one I'm using, but it should guarantee you that fish, and hopefully, I haven't actually caught one as of yet, but I'd love to catch one, and this is why I'm making the rig and bringing you guys along as well, because in a future video I should be showing you hopefully a conger, and it will be caught on this rig, so it'll be quite interesting. So the first things we'll need is a lighter, some 2.2mm crimps, a muppet, this is optional, Cedrus swivels. These are I think £300 test swivels, so quite big ones, some £300 mono, a crimping tool, this is essential for this one, you can't use a pair of pliers, a Conger Eel meat hook size 10/0 offset, a decent pair of cutters, and just off to the side there is some shrink wrap tubing. So first things first, we're going to need to cut off a length of this monofilament. This is made by Triple Fish. No, we're not sponsored by them, but this is just showing you guys exactly what we're using. Again, it is £300 test, length 70 yards, and it's clear. Again, there's no stopping you using a £100 line, but what's the point when you could potentially lose that big fish? So I'm using £300 line. Yes, I don't have to, but that could be the decision between a big fish lost or a big fish into the boat. So this is what I'm using. Now I'm going to cut off about 2 foot of this mono. My trace quite long. You don't want it too long because they will just take you straight into the wreck. But again, you don't want it too short. So first things first, we're going to be using a crimp. Again, you do want the cup to cup crimps, which will allow you to put the mono just through, and you do want it nice and tight, nice and snug in there, so it can still free run, but again you can loop it back through. So we're going to feed on one of those. Then we're going to take our quality hook from Conger Eel, the meat hook. This is an offset hook, like I've said before. Probably wouldn't use anything else for this. These are top quality hooks. So we're going to slide that on, slide that through, and then we're going to bring up our crimp. You guys can see, and we're going to feed our line through the other end of that crimp, like so. So we're now forming a loop. Don't want too much tag end through, so we're going to pull a little bit of this end, and that will close up that eyelet, just like that. That's the perfect amount of tag end. And again, you don't want to bring these up too close, just so that hook can still move about nice and freely. So the next thing is, which is quite crucial, is you're going to need these cup to cup crimping tools. Now, I wouldn't use any other crimping method but cup to cup. Other crimping methods can damage the mono, which again, we don't want a lost fish. We all know how bad it is losing that big fish, so we definitely don't want none of that. So as you can see here, this does 0.1 to 0.5, right the way up to 2.2mm, which is what this crimp is here. So just going to unlock the crimping tool. Now, you always crimp this way. A lot of people make the mistake of crimping that way. So you want to offset this, because I'm going to do 2 crimps, which means a double crimp. So I'm going to crimp one right near that edge and one right near that edge. Just again, guys, this is personal preference, but this is just what I do. Give that a real good hard crimp down, as hard as you can, because again, these are cup to cup, it's not going to damage the mono. So as you can see there, that's crimped that section. You can see where it's crimped. Again, that hook is never ever coming off of there, but to be sure, we're going to double crimp it. We're going to crimp it twice. So come over to this end and go again. So there we have it. That's now been double crimped. Because congers are really hard fighting fish, we definitely do not want this to slip. So one of the things that I've started to do is just to burn this tag end, to like mushroom it over. So we can do that now, and I'll show you what I'm doing in a minute. So, you want to keep this mono apart when you're doing this. You don't want to burn this stuff. Just burn that tag end there. So what we've done is mushroom that over. So even if, although it won't, but even if this decides to slip, this mushroomed end cannot physically go through the bottom of that eyelet there. So as much as a conger can pull on it, even if they do decide to slip it a bit, that will never ever come through. So that's a little tip there for you guys. Just mushroom over the end of your mono. Hence the reason why I like using thicker mono, because it's a lot easier to do this. So again, this is not entirely necessary, but I like to do it. It keeps everything nice and neat, and it keeps your rigs looking good and lasts a lot longer. Again, this is all bite resistant stuff for the congers, so any extra little thing that you can add that will prevent a conger's teeth from biting through it, add it. So we're just going to slide this over the top there, just like so. Just going to hit that with the lighter, only ever so slightly. Try not to burn this, because again, that'll make it a lot weaker. I'm just going to literally burn it just enough to melt that shrink wrap, just like so. We've not damaged that mono whatsoever. The heat shrink tubing will shrink a lot quicker and take a lot less heat to shrink than this mono ever will. So this is our hook length complete. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to add a muppet. Now again, these come in all different sorts of colours, sizes. These are probably more to catch the angler than the fish, but there you go. We all like a bit of jazz on our rigs. So I'm just going to snip off this end to fit the mono. So I've just made a hole like so. I'm just going to slide this line down like so. Now putting this shrink wrap tube in here and this little mushroomed end, as you can see here, will actually stop this muppet from going all the way down to the hook. So what you'll have is a perfectly presented hook that you can easily bait up, and the muppet just sitting above it, but that there will give you full coverage of your hook when the conger does decide to take it. So that there's your perfect setup for a conger. Now to this other end, we're going to add a piece of heat shrink tubing, and then our crimp, just like so. And then I like to use these Cedra solid ball bearing swivels. Now these are not like your normal swivels, they're not overly expensive either, but no matter what poundage you put onto these swivels, these will still turn. You can pull these real apart, and because they've got ball bearings in them, they still swivel, which is perfect for your congers, because they like to really thrash hard and really try and twist themselves up. So this is what I'm using, and it works for me. So we're going to feed our swivel on, just like so. Slide our crimp up, and put our line into the other side of the crimp, so we've made a loop again. Now we're going to slide that crimp up, leave enough tag end, just like so. Again, slide that up a bit more, just so your swivel can easily float about nice and freely. Going to double crimp again. There's one. There's two. So as you can see, that's nicely crimped. Again, we're going to melt this tag end to mushroom it over. Again, you can use the lighter for this. Just mushroom that end over. not too big, just enough so it won't slide over the top. Again, all we can do is just prevent. Make sure it's nicely cooled off. So now we have that all mushroomed off, we're just going to slide our heat shrink wrap tubing over the top and give it a quick melt again. Again, don't hit it too much with the heat, this can burn. Just like so. Nice and neat, nice and streamlined. And there we have our finished conger rig. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this little short video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.